The conventions are really basically a joke. I mean, I don't even know why they do it anymore. It's really just fanfare and promenade for, you know, whoever's about to be elected. It's basically just a way to bump up their publicity right before the election.
Why should we stop Bush? Because his program is a program toward war and fascism. Now, I'm 85 years old, and I was born during the Palmer raids, and I lived through McCarthyism and fascism. And remember, Mussolini said that fascism is corporate statism, and we are moving very fast in that direction. In order to have a war on the world, you have to attack the civil liberties of the people at home. So we have to be very, very careful and alert at this period to really protect and fight and extend for all of our civil liberties. This is his agenda, but it's much bigger than him. I mean, Kerry isn't offering us. He's going to have a better war, and he's going to have more soldiers go out there and kill. So what we have to do is stop the war, bring the people home, and give reparations, I think, to the people of Iraq.
This is a big rebirth for New York City after a really long, cold winter after 9/11.
My main purpose in being an activist is to see change in the world, and it really has been. I've been pretty much focused on war. I guess that's been my main motivation, and some of it you do to try to outreach to others and make change, and some of it you just have to do for yourself, whether anyone's listening or not. I'm a war tax resister, that I refuse to pay some or all of my federal income taxes because it helps to pay for war.
Why stop Bush?
Well, we need to stop Bush because he's destroying our environment. That means the world, that means human being, that means animals, the water, the air, all of it. It's all connected, in my opinion. That's not what myself and my people are about. So that's why we should stop Bush and Dick Cheney and Condoleezza Rice and the whole administration and capitalism and so on and so forth, because it is destroying our souls.
Pink slip, George Bush! Pink slip!
No, Sylvia, not too many
Bush is a perfect icon that we can use to rally around. It's not an ultimate solution. Like, stopping Bush isn't gonna smash capitalism, which clearly is the ultimate solution.
Well, voting is what we have, I suppose, in this so-called Democrat system. You know, in terms of voting between Democrats and Republicans, either one is pretty much voting for the establishment.
Sunday, the big march.
It helps to have a permitted march and a permitted rally, actually, because a lot of people won't come if they don't feel secure.
I think in any kind of social and political movement, you have to act on different fronts. You need people to do direct action, but you also need people to do traditional legal protest actions.
The era of the big march I think, is over. Being managed down the street and framed by the police and reported by the commercial media, that has very little impact. It had no impact. Last February 15th did it. It did not work. George Bush and Tony Blair, they called it a focus group that they did not agree with.
Marches are a powerful indication of what kind of power people have if they choose to wield it. We can take back a city with enough numbers. It's a good way to get remotivated about politics.
You should. There's a gym over there. There's a gym over there. Let it all out. Let it all out. Woo! Let it all out, player. Let it all out. Okay. Hey, whatever you say.
I am of a different school of thought. Yomango from Barcelona. The people who are retaking privatized public space, what we call contested space. No revolution was successful where the people who were making the change were not accused of, you are trespassing on private property. You always get that. And now the private property is everywhere. So we have to start walking forward into what they call private property and retaking it. I believe we retake it with offenses that are language-driven, drama-driven, costumes, characters, coming forward, coming forward, coming forward. Oh my God!
And let me tell you something. Mission accomplished, baby.
Mission accomplished.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Gonna shoot you right down. Gonna shoot you right down. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. I'm at war with you. I'm at war with you.
There was a request from a year before to use Central Park for a rally that day. In retrospect, you kind of wish that millions of people would just have gone to Central Park.
Well, on Sunday, and we walked with the big march. Then at some point we peeled off and went over to Central Park, and we met there, the place where we were not supposed to go, all through the weeks and months. The police force and the city were telling us that we were not allowed to go there, and they would not give us a permit. And they claimed it was because of the grass. They said that we would kill the grass. So we just said, well, what we will do is we will have weddings. And we had 11 couples sign up, 8 heterosexuals, 1 gay marriage, 1 mother and daughter, and 1 woman marrying the bedrock under Manhattan. Hallelujah! That was a good one.
Over here, marriage or renewal of vows in the Church of the First Amendment.
The First Amendment protects 5 liberties: the freedom of worship, speech, press, assembly, and to petition.
Our permit was the First Amendment. We did not enter into the permit process with the city. That in itself was the high point of my week. Discovering I don't have a permit, I don't want a permit, I have my permit already. It was written in the 1780s by James Madison and Thomas Jefferson. Here it is, officer.
One thing that I think we saw a lot of around the RNC is create these pens, create this protest place for people. The protesters can go like over there, just be off on the side where no one will see you. And during our marches, they've started, putting their barricades along the side of the march so that the access is difficult and the lawyers have had to fight to open up that access. I think a lot of us are really reacting to that these days, because if you're not in a place where people are going to see you, then there's not too much point in doing the protest.
We may have lost Central Park, but we won Midtown, and we are bringing our message to America.
There is a certain anarchist tendency in War Resisters League, which is against nationalism. And, you know, in the long run, I think most of us would like to see the world without states and without flags and all of that. I'm not one who will ever want to march in a demonstration with an American flag, or if someone brings one, I'm kind of the person who tends to like move away from it, because I definitely see it as a very militaristic to me these days.
USA! 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 USA!
I know that Michael Moore and a certain part of the peace movement likes the slogan, peace is patriotic, feels that it's a way to reach out to more people. I don't know if it does make a difference, partly because you might get your foot in the door with that, but once somebody hears what the rest of your politics are, they're gonna have to take the whole package or not.
8:31.
Coming into the RNC, we started working in coalition with A31, that group who was organizing the whole day of civil disobedience. And I think it was a really important place for War Resisters League to be, partly because a lot of us are longtime activists. Many have been arrested many times at civil disobedience actions, and actually could bring some knowledge and information into that organization, but also saw this kind of new style, what I might call a new style of activism, a little more small affinity groups going off and doing different things, you know, in different places, wanting to sort of come together at some point, but not wanting to feel like there's a big hierarchy that's telling them you must be here at this point, you know, and do this then. And I think that we can also gain from some of that.
This is the first time I've seen the police actually attack people for marching on the sidewalk, going 2 by 2, not blocking any of the pedestrian traffic, and the police just surrounded them and attacked them and arrested every single one of them.
I actually came up with some indie media people to cover what was going on Tuesday. There was an action where a bunch of people were sitting in the street to block off traffic, and right before we got there, this group of cops ran around the corner and they like started running straight at us with batons in the air. So they all like pointed at me and was like, "Get him!" And so they all like ran towards me and ended up tackling me in the street. So that I had like 4 cops on top of me, and even when I was down, you know, they were pretty belligerent.
August 31st, we did have a well-announced large action. Our march got stopped right at the beginning and split up. We probably could have learned a little bit more too from other activists. So I think that maybe for us, we're starting to make some connections with younger people that we haven't for a while.
I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, they arrested Quakers. They arrested the most peaceful activists you can imagine.
Purely speaking, and I'm arrested for speaking, exercising freedom of speech.
It's a George Orwell, a sort of fear, manufacturing of fear. I'll arrest you. I'll arrest you. You know, there was no pattern, so they kept a level of anxiety, which is similar to the level of fear that is maintained by the George Bush and his administration since 9/11. They have orange alerts, pink alerts, red alerts. They have alerts. They're about to bomb us, and we're all just like, you know, do I get on the subway? They keep us afraid. That is why we keep buying things. We're afraid. If you purchase something, it makes you feel a little bit better for a while.
None of us plan to shut down the convention. A lot of the activists that I talk to, you know, are concerned that the political process happened, that the Republicans, they are allowed to meet. I think it was great that people managed to get inside.
started preaching to the tourists. Mickey Mouse is the Antichrist, children. What I want you to do now is I want you to take your families and back away from these sweatshop products. This is the sin. This is the sin of the devil. Mickey Mouse is the devil, children. Back away from the Disney store. Reverend Billy is a character that I play.
Brother, mother, mother, there's far too many of you crying. Picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see. They asked if you voted this year. When your son was finally killed, the president didn't care. He's too busy fighting wars and building new bombs. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's gonna tell you what's going on? I tell you what's going on. Ooh, 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 ooh. Thank you very much. I hope that was enlightening for you as it was for me.